American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down like blues on Tuesdays come down. Throw it all away.
Right.
Nice.
Now we're ready. We're already rolling. Welcome to another episode of American Timelines.
American Timelines.
I'm Steve, and that's Joe. No, I'm Gruff.
Wait, no,
and that's
I'm
Loud.
Steve, and that's Joe.
Oh yeah,
Thank
I'm
you for
Loud.
that.
He's Gruff, and we.
We're just
Yeah.
we're crossing shows. We're like
That's right.
We're
Yeah.
like a crossover show right now.
Yeah, it's a crossover.
Yes.
We have a YouTube channel. We have 2 episodes out called
Yeah.
the Gruff and
You
Loud
saying
Show.
we just makes me feel so involved, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's the Gruff and Loud Show. It's on YouTube. It's on the History for Jerks channel right now. I might turn it to its own thing. We've got 2 episodes. We're just screwing around. We're just playing with things,
Well, yeah, no,
just bullshitting back and forth.
It's a bit of humorous fluff.
Yeah,
I'd
but
like to think.
but luckily Gruff is here now, filling in for Amy, my beautiful wife, who's overwhelmed with school right now. She's got a new class, little kids. She's like building lesson plans from scratch, so she's just like, I ain't got time to research true crime, bruh. So I was like, that's cool. So I'll find somebody who also hates true crime. I do have a
hate's a strong word. I mean, I will say there's a love of crime. I grew up watching Murder, She Wrote and Perry Mason and all the good old Foundation shows.
Mhm. I have a couple people who have offered to also fill in from time to time. Some like
That's
true crime,
fine, dude.
like Tiffany Bryant Jackson, TBJ from Nerd School.
Dude.
Well, yesterday was saying her whole thing is she and her sister are thinking of starting a true crime podcast, and they have a cool idea. They want to call it like 6 Degrees of True Crime, and talk about true crime stories that they are connected to within 6 people.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Yeah, no,
like
that
they
is
know
a-
somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody that murdered somebody.
That is something relatable. That is wonderful.
And I like that
Yeah.
idea, so I kind of said to her, what if you practice by you 2 guest hosting a
Dude.
couple American Timelines episodes, and I could maybe even just they do everything, and I just sit back and listen or whatever. I don't know.
Well,
But,
I mean,
so, yeah.
no, I was just going to say you could, I don't know. You could start with your year in the past, and then they can start with their connection.
Yeah.
And then you're meeting in the middle.
Yeah, or they can just do a few that don't have the connection thing.
Oh, fair enough.
Just while we're doing, practicing, and then they get used to
that's
it.
a much better
Just
idea.
practicing microphones and things like that. But in the meantime, like while Gruff is available, we'll use Gruff, and some people have complimented they like our rapport. My mom particularly was like, you guys are you guys have such good rapport together. It's funny.
I have the benefit your mom likes me.
Yeah, she does.
She does. She is a fan, and I appreciate that. I've always been a fan of her.
We did get our second negative review. Like on iTunes, we had all 5s and 1 for a long time. Like one person just hated us and told us that. And it was almost like it has to be a friend of mine, because we almost got that one before it was even on. It was hard. Like nobody would have known to look for it. So it had to be somebody I know just saying, Joe, you suck. This sucks. You guys suck. So I think somebody I know didn't want to tell me that it sucks.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. So all this time I've been like, our rating was like 4.9 because we had 1 rating. I thought, well, it just doesn't count. It's just somebody who doesn't like me and somebody I pissed off. So, but now we've got our second. I think they gave us a 2. So maybe So I think that's just a person, and I'm not blaming you. It just came with the last couple weeks.
I don't mind carrying that weight. I'll say that 2 is a 1 for each of us.
Yeah, maybe that's it. We were both 1s. Yeah, I don't know.
Like if you don't, if you just want to, if you want to share the weight, it's a 1 for each of us.
Well, there was
I'll take the blame for dropping that curve,
There was
That's
no
fine.
review with it. You know what
Well,
I mean?
what can you really say? The guy who knows the word nice, you know, he can say the word nice a lot of different ways.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, he did say nice. But before we talk, rather than talk more about this stuff, let's get into July of 1953 is where we're at. This one will be a little less true crimey, I think. Like you have it's crime.
There's crime, and it's
not very rapey.
Oddly,
I hope.
No, I mean, there's accusations.
Okay.
But that's like in the postscript.
Okay.
And when I say accusations, I should say a fucking conviction. And I'm unfortunately, I go, yeah. But then again, I have a skewed vision of certain sects of Mormonism.
Okay, so that's before we get into too much. We'll wait till we get to that part in the timeline. We're in July.
Yeah.
And before we jump all the way into July of 1953, I have a 1953 thing that doesn't really have a month to it that I just happened to find. And I was like, before we get out of this year, I don't want to forget to talk about this.
Oh, cool.
And this is Peeps. Peeps.
Like Peeps.
There's
the marshmallow
treat?
The
marshmallow treat. There's a lot of things you don't know about Peeps.
No, there's a lot of things I don't know about Peeps. One of the things I never remember about Peeps is that I only need 2. That's it. Just 2 Peeps.
That's all you need to satisfy your sweet tooth?
Well, I mean, that's all I need to satisfy the pain. They're like, I need to eat enough sugar to get to the pain for whatever reason. That's like that step too far. I just need 2.
Yeah.
One is like, that's right. These aren't as bad as I remembered. But then it's 2. It's like, nope. There's the eventual pain of eating a bag full.
Yeah.
Would have stopped.
Yeah.
But go on about your Peeps.
Yeah. What I was gonna say.
About my personal.
No, that's good. I was just gonna say, did you know that when Peeps, were acquired by Just Born, this is the company that they bought Rada Candy Company of Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Nice.
And that's who made Just Born, or Rada made Peeps, and Just Born acquired them. And when they made them, Peeps used to take a really, really long time to make. It was a very laborious process to make these iconic marshmallow chicks. The 3-dimensional marshmallow shapes were piped by hand with pastry bags, dusted with colored sugar, and allowed to dry for an extended period. Before the whole process was mechanized, it used to take a whopping 27 hours to produce a single Peep.
Yeah, dude.
Today it takes just 6 minutes.
From start to begin. Wow.
From start to finish. And they used to have their wings. Their wings used to stick out instead of being.
If you're piping some marshmallow fluff,
baby,
you can fucking do some amazing things with that shit. Dude, that's fucking. I have more respect for the food Peeps now. Thank you.
So 1953 is when they bought the Peeps. Wow. Just Born bought them.
I stand by Just Born being a creepy name.
Yeah.
For
it is
any sort of manufacturer.
Anything. It's a little weird.
Any Just Born. Think about it, justborn.com.
Yeah. Just Born.
Out of context word choice. That's weird. I mean, I think it's cute and sweet, and especially in the 1950s quaint way, that the Peeps are just born.
They were just born. They just started.
They were just one of those Peeps. Those are just born Peeps. It works. It's like homemade brand pies.
Did you know that there's
a pie homemade? It is.
There's a 2-day festival that takes place every year in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, on New Year's Eve. It's like a Peep Fest, and the heaviest Peep that they have there on New Year's Eve is they instead of dropping a ball for New Year's, they drop a Peep.
Peep.
Except
where is this? Bethlehem?
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It's a 9-inch tall Peep, and it weighs 400 pounds, and it descends at 5:30 p.m.
9-inch tall. A 9-inch.
9-inch tall. 4 feet. I'm sorry, 4 feet 9 inches tall. 4 feet now. That's a lot more. I was like, how's 9 inches tall weigh 400 pounds?
Yeah, I didn't like the density of marshmallow fluff.
Yeah,
like imagine how it'd be like the white dwarf of Peeps.
It would, it would destroy somebody. You could use it as a bullet. No, it's a 4 feet 9. 4 feet 9. So
that makes more sense. That's a fair sized Peep.
Yeah,
that's a lot of.
But 400 pounds.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, that fluff ain't gonna hold. That's got to be solid.
Hell yeah!
Like think of think of a hard peep.
Let me ask you this:
Like, how much air? What?
Would you bang?
No.
Would you bang that peep?
That would be sticky. I guess if there's enough money involved, I don't see a problem with fucking food.
Everybody's got a
it did
price.
It did launch Jason Biggs' career, you know.
Wait, he banged a peep?
No, he banged a pie.
Oh, he
like
banged
the
a
whole
pie.
his
Yeah,
character
right.
in
That's
American Pie. So and then it became a joke in Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back how many people just refer to him as pie fucker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta believe there's at least that corn kernel of truth in that pile of shit of entertainment that is, well, our entertainment.
Well, moving on, we got a birthday in
Oh,
July
happy
of
birthday.
1953. Ready for birthday?
Just one?
Did it.
Amy hates birthdays. Amy hates birthdays.
July 10th, 1953, William Albert Haynes III was born. You know who that is?
Billy Albert Haynes.
William Albert Haynes, a retired American professional wrestler.
Billy Jack Haynes?
Billy Jack Haynes, correct.
Thank you, dude. The Billy Albert.
Yeah, Albert threw you off. Do you remember Billy Jack Haynes?
I do. I remember Billy Jack Haynes enough to remember his name. But I really, he just looks like, in my head, he's a barrel of a white dude with dark, messy hair and a beard.
Yeah, bearded cowboy guy. Really very cut guy, I remember him being.
Okay, that's the thing. I cut Billy as far as wrestling, I think of Billy Gunn.
Billy Gunn, yeah. No, he was bigger than Billy Gunn, a lot bigger. Like, he was big, muscly. And I remember Billy Jack Haynes, but I remember wearing, like, yellow and green. I don't remember him having much of a personality, but I kind of fell into a rabbit hole on this guy. He started wrestling in 1982 at the age of 28. He trained in Stu Hart's Dungeon pro wrestling school, and he briefly wrestled in Hart's Stampede Wrestling under his given name, forming a tag team with Bruce Hart.
Bruce Hart. I didn't even know another. I knew there were so many Harts, but I didn't know there was a Bruce Hart.
Yeah, back in Stampede.
There's more Harts than I could ever know, really.
Yeah.
Go on.
And, he was I remember him being a babyface in WWF. A quick thing, on March 16th, 2013, he was hospitalized because he was suffering from an aortic aneurysm and liver and kidney issues. He was part of some of the CTE stuff, like when they sued WWE, some of the old wrestlers, and he was part of that. But the biggest thing I found on him on the internet right now, I just was Googling around, and I like to watch those shoot interviews of old wrestlers. And
oh, dude, so do I, man.
There's a lot of videos of Billy Jack Haynes looking like he's got white hair now, and he's an old man with like bangs, like he's got bangs and long hair, like he looks ridiculous. But there's some crazy shit. On February 2018. There's an article from definitely not a reputable source at all, but I'm going to quote it anyway. It's from, I don't know if you've seen the Independent News International, a website somewhere.
No.
I'm pretty sure it's like a right-wing, like, conspiracy theory site, so none of this is true, I'm sure. But regardless, this is out there on the internet, and I found an article from February 21st, 2018. If you can even call it an article, it's like set up like an article, but it doesn't have like a person's name attached to it, and it's all just rumor and conjecture. But what it says on that website, again, none of this is true, I'm sure. It's all some shitty fake website, Independent News International.
It could be kayfabe for all we know.
Yeah, this website just looks like right-wing propaganda. Basically, it's like QAnon or whatever, probably.
That's the wrong kayfabe. Sorry.
Yeah, so what it says on here is former pro wrestler turned drug enforcer Billy Jack Haynes has come forward in 2018 with a shocking claim. Bill Clinton was once involved in the murder of 2 young men in Arkansas on August 23rd, 1987. That's not all. According to local station KATV, Haynes has even hinted he has video evidence to prove his claim. So, in the small town of Mena, Arkansas, Mena, M-E-N-A, he woke up to find... the town woke up on the news to find two men, Don Henry and Kevin Ives, had been hit by a train. The dubious circumstances surrounding their tragic deaths is now known as the Boys on the Tracks. And so conspiracy theorists have insisted for years that Bill Clinton was involved. And they're not alone, because the Wall Street Journal reported in 1996, according to this website, that Linda Ives also believes her son Kevin was murdered and that state, local, and federal authorities conspired to cover it up. She also firmly believes that Bill Clinton was involved in Kevin's death. And so the conspiracy theory says that while out hunting for deer, the two men stumbled across a drug drop being overseen by local police. The two were allegedly stripped of their hunting rifle by local authorities and killed, Kevin by blunt force trauma and Don by stabbing. And Billy Jack Haynes came forward and publicly claimed he was present when the two were killed. He said that while touring with WWF at the time in the 80s, he would earn extra money as a hired enforcer for powerful cocaine dealers to feed his drug addiction. He claimed that he was there when the two men stumbled across an illegal cocaine deal involving high-ranking Arkansas officials. As we all know, Bill Clinton was an Arkansas official at that time. In the 80s. He included an unnamed politician drug dealer that had ordered murders in the past. The alleged cocaine deal, the video says, was directly ordered by this criminal politician and was connected to the Iran-Contra scandal. During the initial investigation... What?
No, I almost choked on
okay.
my water because the time period, everything was fucking connected to that.
Yeah,
but go on.
At that time in the 80s. Yeah.
No, I've been like I'm used to this because these are the stories that my grandma raised me on.
Yes, right. Yeah,
like my grandma was God's whatever. You know, she was a proud racist. It was a rough time.
Oh yeah.
Glad to say, only one in that side of the family. They refer to it as Leona's Bologna. But please go on.
Well, during the initial investigation, local authorities initially said the two men smoked pot and passed out on the tracks before being struck by the train. In 1998, however, a grand jury ruled in the family's favor that the boys had likely been murdered before being placed on the train tracks. Now, Haynes claims he was there as a masked enforcer, and he's come forward with wild accusations. He even hinted to Little Rock's WKARN radio station that he has secret video evidence of the boys being struck by the train as proof of his involvement.
Well, good. As long as he gets people like walking away from the tracks after laying the bodies on there.
What do you think of the 80s? We would have had a camcorder, like a big shoulder thing.
Like, I'll allow him to have a camcorder. I won't allow him to have secret footage. Like, if he has a camcorder there, they are recording. Like, someone is like, this is recorded on purpose because you couldn't hide that shit.
Right.
I don't give a fuck how much money you got. You know, and how did they know that motherfucker was beaten and stabbed if they put him on the tracks? We know what happens to bodies on the tracks.
Yeah.
They kind of blow up.
That's right.
Or they're neatly carved. You know? It's a blunt cutting mechanism that just like rolls over a body or completely hits a body like that. Like, what do you think happens if a cow catcher picks up a corpse? You know?
Yeah.
It flings it.
You seem to have a lot of experience with bodies getting run over by trains.
I'm just saying, we grew up near trains, man.
Yeah.
I live near trains. I live near one set of tracks. And it happens less, but there used to be at least 2 bodies a year of a drunk kid passing out. Or was it?
Ooh,
you know?
Dun, dun,
Dun, dun.
Well, critics say that Haynes has a history of making far-fetched claims involving murders, and Haynes himself admits to have CTE and frequent headaches from his years in professional wrestling and drug abuse. So
I'm really surprised that a wrestler is full of shit, and he's really good at getting people to believe his shit, considering wrestling is a carnival-based business.
yeah, it's kind of a carny.
Yeah.
They're kind of traveling carnies, is what they were. Yeah.
That's what they were. That's what they still are. That's the problem.
Well, the whole reason
now it's getting better with the next generation of wrestlers actually building a structure within the company to kind of like, hey, look out for us. You know?
Yeah, the only reason I even looked up this whole thing anyway is on his Wikipedia page, it said that there were rumors that he was involved in a murder. And so when I looked it up, I don't think this was what they were even talking about, but maybe it is. I don't know.
That's fucking amazing. Jesus, if there's something else. Well, I mean, given this dude says, hey, I did this shit a lot, but then again, I'm an ex-drug addict with some head problems, so.
Yeah, but back to 1953, Billy Jack Haynes was born before any of that all happened.
And Billy Jack, oh, you can't see it. I know what he looks like now, and I was right. I remembered him, but I blended him and Steve Lombardi.
Yeah, he does look. Yes, they're kind of the same. Steve Lombardi's more of a heavy
I'm just
guy.
happy that I knew it wasn't Dr. Death Steve Williams.
Yes, yeah, not him. But those guys are all kind of in the same vein. And Hercules Hernandez and
Hercules Hernandez was the one that stood out, and Iron Mike Sharp was the guy that stood out on the other end.
Yeah,
you know, but they're all variations on that. I guess white dude.
Have you ever heard of the 80s and 90s pop band called the Cockroaches?
I have not. I want to say that I have, but I have not.
Yeah, I haven't.
Not off the top of my head.
I haven't either. I wondered if they were popular. The reason I ask is on July 21st, 1953, Jeffrey Wayne Fatt was born, who was an Australian musician and actor. He was a member of the children's group The Wiggles. And before that, he was in a pop band called the Cockroaches. And the Wiggles, I remember my kids liked that when they were little.
Dude, that makes me
the Wiggles.
That makes me happy to know that motherfucker got to keep playing music.
Yeah, and so when I listened to the Cockroaches, think, oh, was this an awesome band? They just didn't make it, so they started making kids music. And to me, it just sounded just like the Wiggles. So I don't know.
Really?
He was probably making that in that pop band and realized this all sucks. This is like children's. Somebody probably said this is like kids music, and then they made the Wiggles, and boom, they made it big.
Huh. Well, I mean, Wiggles is if he was doing then what I think the Aquabats did now.
Aquabats. I've recently just come across
Aquabats are dope, yo.
I reached out to them. I'm trying to book them for my comedy festival next year, but
they are I think a wonderful progression of They Might Be Giants and Devo.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They are a beautiful thing.
You're a beautiful thing. And speaking
You're
of
a beautiful thing.
You're a beautiful thing. And speaking of your beauty, it's time for you to tell us
about some government overreach.
Yeah, because I'm already to July. I'm up to July 26th of 1953, and that brings us to your thing that you're going to tell us about something that happened. Your true crime story for us.
The true crime story, but see, here's the thing. I mean, excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
Yes.
Bless you, you delicate flower.
I appreciate it.
Are you drunk right now? Are you hammered?
I wish. No, I wish I was, though.
Oh.
It would probably make it a lot more sense.
Well, you could mainline 151 like Motley Crue.
No, I the first time, no. I remember doing a shot of 151 with Brett Burns.
Brett Burns. He's our childhood friend, second grade, that we were both his lackeys, and then we became friends and he moved away.
That's the only reason why I bring that up.
All right. Take us away with your true crime story. Tell us all about it. What's your timeline? What's happening here?
All right. What's happening is referred to as the Short Creek Raid.
The Short Creek Raid, July 26, 1953. This was a raid of some sort. What happened?
It was, well, just before dawn on July 26, 1953.
Wait, July 26, 1953, the same day that Operation Neptune was on NBC? Operation Neptune, a live science. It was a live science fiction program aimed at kids. Commander Bill Hollister, aided by his protege Dink Saunders, was ordered to determine why a large number of ships were sinking. Hollister finds that the source of the trouble is the evil Kebeda and his henchman Mercenus. That was on TV? Is that same day?
Nice, yeah, no. Well, I mean, later that day, I imagine that was on at least in the late afternoon.
That was in the evening, and it starred Todd Griffin, Richard Holland, and Harold Conklin. Your three favorite actors.
Those guys, when they were just trying to get to sleep, knowing that their show was going on the air nationwide.
Yeah.
So when they were probably maybe just get up because it was just before dawn. It was around 6:30 to 6:45.
Oh, in the morning,
PM.
so it was before it was
Yeah.
on. Okay.
It was before it was on.
Yeah.
This is like July 26th was a pretty big day, and not just because of Operation Neptune, which
because of other things
And
that you're
not-
about to tell us.
some other stuff happened. The Arizona National Guard, acting with the authority of the Arizona Department of Public Safety, under the direct orders of the governor at the time, they entered the community of Short Creek.
Okay.
Due to the heads up given to this community, they were all gathered around the schoolhouse.
Okay.
Now, all the adults were inside. They were singing hymns,
Okay.
and the children were outside playing. So you're in the Arizona National Guard. The governor has okayed the public safety, the Department of Public Safety, the activation of you. You're an 18 to early 20-year-old dude.
Yeah.
You're being called to a small town, pre-dawn,
Yeah.
unincorporated land.
Unincorporated land.
Well,
and,
I mean,
it's a schoolhouse where the
had
adults are inside and the children are outside.
It's a schoolhouse where the adults are inside and all the children are just playing.
They're just playing
Teenagers
outside,
playing volleyball, just playing outside.
and the kids are.
And
the adults are singing because it's like it's a hymn.
They're singing hymns.
They're singing hymns.
They are singing hymns. I don't know what hymns go with approaching physical persecution, but that's what they're doing. So
Okay.
the National Guard walks in. I'm going to retract the unincorporated
Okay.
at that time because it's never specifically said in the Wikipedia articles that I've read.
Okay.
Because that's my source.
Wikipedia. Yeah. Right. Okay. That's
It's an
fine.
agree to, like, in a world where we have to, check what truth we agree on. I think Wikipedia is fine.
Wah, wah,
Wah,
wah.
wah. Anywho, the number of children outside, take a guess.
12.
263.
Oh, 263 children outside. I was way off.
263 children. Now, these are children, I'm assuming, from the age of 17 down.
Okay. Yeah, because
Because they refer to-
technically that is what a child is.
Exactly, by law.
By
A
law,
child is
17 and under
17
is a
down.
child.
Counts as a kid.
You cannot
Which
be
is-
41 and be a child. You could act
Nope,
like a
you could
child.
Yeah, no,
You
as
could be a
someone who was
41-year-old
acting like a
fucking
child,
man boy child that some chick wants
I-
to leave because all you're doing is playing your stupid goddamn miniatures and you're playing a role-playing game all day long.
Whoa,
Sorry.
whoa! I don't have enough miniatures to play role playing games all day long.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, that wasn't
Yeah.
that wasn't an attack on you. That was just.
Well, no, I don't.
I'm not a
mean
child,
to make it
Charlene.
feel-
Sorry, I was just mad at Charlene.
No, I really think Charlene should stop yelling at you.
Yeah.
You pay the bills, man.
Yeah, Charlene.
She has no reason to. You let her stay at your house. I don't know why she yells at you for your fucking hobbies.
Fucking Charlene.
Anywho,
back
so
to
these
the
kids
back to this.
playing
Yeah.
outside the church while the adults.
And this
are-
is a Mormon
English.
church, or is that a surprise?
This is a Mormon fundamentalist church.
A Mormon
These are Mormons that the church in the main branch said, no, you're good. You can, go out. Because Mormons go out and they reestablish themselves in other places.
Okay.
These were, the state of polygamy in Utah was, I think, generally not talked about, but, just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Because most white people from before the 50s just keep it to yourself.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
everything.
Especially if there's money involved. If you're giving them money, they're like, all right, cool. And taxes and whatnot.
Okay.
I don't know. It might be easier to think I'm drunk given my behavior. Because I'm
No,
standing.
No, I'm
And
getting
it's
all this.
earlier in the day than my usual, night times.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, at the end of this, some of the parents didn't get their kids back.
Oh.
So, yeah, well, that'll be a little hang on. We're going to power through this.
Okay, we're powering through. What happened next?
Yeah. Anyway, well, the governor of Arizona, John Howard Pyle, there's some wonderful word choices, but referred to the event as a, quote, momentous police action against insurrection, end quote, and described the fundamentalist Mormons as perpetrating the, quote, foulest conspiracy you could possibly imagine, end quote, with the intent to create, quote, white slaves, end quote.
Wow.
Yeah. Like that sounds cherry picked, but just because I didn't want to give him too many. I picked the choicest words of why I was like, yeah, fuck Mormons. Oh, whoa, dude, pull this back a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not a guy that's often on the side of, National Guard trolling through a fucking neighborhood pre-dawn to round up 200 plus children.
Yeah, right.
And adults, because that was just the child number. The reason I like children as manual labor within the community, that was my only.
So that's what that might. Yeah, they're creating slaves. Like
how he got from fucking polygamous.
Yeah,
because that's the charge. Oh yeah, and polygamy is illegal.
Oh yeah,
it was just like
the slave child and not child slavery, just white slavery is what
white slaves. Not your kids working on the farm.
Yeah,
but calling them white slaves. It's like,
yeah, whoa.
Yeah. Huh? Well, I mean, it comes down to the whole. At the time, we are still allowing one definition of family.
Yeah.
So, fun fact: Jack Howie P. Because I know I can make fun of his name.
Jack.
I mean, not just
what's his name?
Jack Howard Pyle.
Jack Howard Pyle. Jack Howie P. That's what he said. Howie P. Jack Howard Pyle.
Yeah, Howie P. Jack rolls more, but fuck him.
Yeah.
Invited more than 100 reporters to bear witness on the secular righteous rounding up of almost all of the approximately 400 kids.
Whoa.
Or 400 community members.
Oh, yeah, because he added adults, and then we get to 400. You're at 260.
Yeah.
So he invited the press here to make a big spectacle of this whole thing.
Yeah, because he's like, look what I'm doing. I'm cleaning up our state from these white slavers.
Wow. And this is 1953, so it's still like civil rights hasn't happened yet.
Still July 6th.
Yeah.
July
26th. 26th.
Yeah, July 26th, 1953. This is still that day.
Yep.
And the fallout did not go his way. The assembled press, and seems any press that gets wind of the tale, do not see what the government sees. And the story grows and spreads across the nation.
Whoa.
Even getting coverage in Time and Newsweek.
So all the journalists and the people watching it were on the side of the
Mormon fundamentalists.
The Mormons.
They're
like, hey, why are you treating these people like that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
One newspaper editorialized, by what stretch of the this is a direct quote, so by what stretch of the imagination could the actions of the state of the Short Creek children be classified as insurrection? Were those teenagers playing volleyball in a schoolyard inspiring rebellion? Insurrection? Well, if so, an insurrection with diapers and volleyballs.
An insurrection with diapers and volleyballs.
Yep.
I like that quote.
This is the last time that the public, much less the actual main church of Latter-day Saints, back, because the church was like, whoa, dude, that's persecution. It wasn't until the 90s that our government actually started persecuting people and prosecuting people. We've always persecuted people for polygamy,
right?
But we didn't start prosecuting people for polygamy until the 90s. Everything of polygamy was just kind of like, well, we're gonna, and then they just let it stay. They just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So,
like you said, don't ask, don't tell type of thing.
Yeah. So, fun fact: the same week this happened, the Korean War Armistice Agreement happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And specifically July 27th, 1953.
Oh, you
because-
mean the same day that on George and Burns and Gracie Allen show, when Gracie learns that the Mortons are going on a road trip with another couple, she tries to coax George into going that same day?
I don't believe, why would that Gracie? She's always trying to keep up with the Joneses. I did not know that.
Keeping up with the Mortons. Yep.
Keeping up with the Mortons.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the same day.
I imagine that was probably amusing. Probably more amusing than learning that South Korea never agreed to the deal, but did sign a peace treaty with China in 1992, specifically August 24th, 1992.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, no, and South Korea then withdrew from that armistice agreement in 2011 because they said North Korea violated it 221 times.
Really?
Yeah.
I was not aware of that.
No, I wrote it in purple as to denote oh, nice.
Yeah, I changed
You're
it.
loading an immersive view.
Yeah, an immersive view. So what does this Korean armistice have to do?
It's just a coincidence.
Just a coincidence. It has nothing to do with it.
It's coincidence, but there's a level of, in my head, like this Mormon thing and this state overreach kind of took over a lot of, not the actual headlines,
Yeah.
but a lot of the second section news that probably would have needed more attention.
Yeah, right.
Because for a long time, people believed that war was fought and over.
Yeah, right.
And that war technically never ended because,
Yeah.
But it doesn't count as one of our own longest wars because we were not directly involved. We were just tangentially involved.
Yeah. That's one of the least understood wars, I think. Like, I never understood.
No,
my dad was in Korea, but I don't know if he was. I remember not knowing, like, were you in the war or were you just stationed there or what was your? I never really found out. Like,
well, I mean, there's a lot of vets that didn't bother talking about what happened, which led to a lot of, I guess what we would call it now, bottled up PTSD.
I guess.
No.
All my dad would always say is, all I'll say is you were almost Korean. So I think that's his way of bragging that he hooked up with people there or something.
Well, maybe it was like, maybe I just wanted to stay. My personal exposure to the Korean War was through stories my uncle told that I was always told never to believe. Because, my great uncle.
Yeah.
And they're always there. He seemed to be that supply sergeant that could get you things.
So there we go. We're both connected to the Korean War, and what? Back to the polygamist raid.
Oh no, that's the fun thing. Nothing really. Like there were all but 6 people. All but 6 adults were arrested.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a list of those 6 adults.
Okay.
Yeah, but then not quite all of the children were given back to the people. They were never really taken into custody.
So the ones that weren't given back were just putting up for adoption or what?
Well, I mean, they just kind of went into the state like the border kids from Trump years.
Yeah, into the system.
Yeah.
And did I'm just wondering, did you do some extra research and locate any of those kids and interview them?
Actually, I tracked one down. They were very put upon.
Really?
Because it wasn't them, not at all. But it wasn't them. It was actually one of their parents that was very traumatized by it.
Oh.
No, not at all. I did not. It is terrible. It's a horrible thing. And what else can I say about it?
I thought you had something that happened in '92. Didn't you have a?
Well, no, that was the pause on. They did sign a peace treaty with China in 1992.
Oh,
specifically August 24th, 1992.
Oh, North Korea did, or South Korea.
South Korea.
South Korea. Sorry,
signed a peace treaty with China in 1992.
Oh, on that same day that they signed that,
Yeah.
Nick was cleaning house, and Vinny and Blossom want different things from their relationship. And Joey feared it was his fault. A girl he dumped got into an accident on Blossom,
Whoa.
which has nothing to do with the Korean armistice. Also has really nothing to do with
Nothing
this
to do.
polygamy.
It was enough
Mormon polygamy
to
raid.
Make it into multiple articles about this polygamous raid, which was just a weird coincidence. I'm like, why is there all these?
This could be.
Like, I'm trying to fuck my algorithm by looking up all these Mormon polygamists, and you keep talking about the Korean armistice deal. I didn't learn it in school, so I don't want to learn about it. All right, fine.
Yeah,
I'll
between
learn
last week and
something
this
about
week, the algorithms are going to think you're some sort of weirdo.
Well, I mean, that's kind of why I wiped my laptop.
You had to wipe your whole laptop. I'm sorry. American Timelines made you wipe your laptop.
Well, it's not a bad thing. We should all clear our history.
Well,
every now and again, you just clear the history, dump the cookies, and just I
love chocolate chip
your
cookies.
Passwords.
Well,
I do too.
Let's wrap
Chips
up
Ahoy,
probably
my Peeps.
Let's wrap up possibly the weirdest episode of American Timelines ever with a couple birthdays. Well, first a little thing happened. Somebody cheated in the Tour de France. On July 26th, Tour de France, Louis-Jean Bobet of France wins his first of 3 consecutive tours, tour general classification events, whatever that is. But Jean Robic cheated in the Tour de France by adding a lead-filled water bottle at the summit of a mountain so he could descend faster.
That's fucking great.
According to Wikipedia.
Well, I mean, good for him. That's, it's easier than fucking shooting up.
Amy hates birthdays. Amy hates birthdays.
That same day you talked about the armistice being signed on July 27th, Greg Gomez Peed was born. You know who that is? He's an Australian comedian born in Cardiff, New South Wales, Australia, otherwise known as Yahoo Serious.
What?
Yep.
Yahoo Serious. That I did not know that. I'm glad to know he has an actual name.
He has an actual name, Greg Gomez Peed. He attended Glendale East Public School and Cardiff High School. Then he worked as a tire fitter to pay for his tuition at the National Art School in Sydney, but he was expelled. I don't know if he was expelled.
What were the colors of that?
I didn't.
No, I'm sorry. That was
I should have done that research. I'm a terrible person.
No, that was unnecessary. I apologize. I have made more than enough sidetracks.
Well, if we want some real good research, how about this? What I just found out about the birthday on July 29th. Do you know what famous person was born July 29th, 1953?
Amy hates birthdays. Amy hates birthdays.
July 29th, 1953. Kurt Russell. Nope, that's wrong.
That was a good guess. Canadian rock vocalist and bassist from Rush.
Geddy Lee. You had me a Canadian rock bassist.
He's born in Toronto. In the north.
Who remembers the Oasis to go on?
He was born in the North York neighborhood of Willowdale, Toronto, to Morris Weinrib and Mary Manya Rubenstein. And I don't know if you know about this, but
I don't.
Both of his parents were Jewish Holocaust survivors from Poland, who had survived the ghetto in Starowice, where they met, followed by their imprisonments at Auschwitz and later at Dachau and Bergen-Belsen concentration camps. No idea I'm saying those right. During the Holocaust and World War II.
I did not know that.
Well, Geddy Lee's parents, they were in their teens when they were initially imprisoned at Auschwitz, and it was kind of surreal preteen shit, says Lee, describing how his father bribed guards to bring his mother shoes. And after a period, his mother was transferred to Bergen-Belsen and his father to Dachau when the war ended. Dachau? I don't know. When the war ended 4 years later and the Allies liberated the camps, Morris set out in search of Manya and found her at a displaced persons camp, and they married there and eventually emigrated to Canada.
They chose wisely.
Yeah.
Well done.
So
Seriously.
without them surviving the Holocaust, Rush wouldn't exist. Like, that's crazy.
No, that's wonderful. Thank the gods. Whichever ones were looking out. Jesus.
Geddy Lee's father was
Fucking
he was a skilled musician who died young, forcing Lee's mother to work to support 3 children, running the Newmarket, Ontario variety store that her husband had owned and managed. And Geddy Lee felt that not having his parents at home during those years was probably a factor in him becoming a musician. It was a terrible blow that I lost him so young, but the course of my life changed because my mother couldn't control us. He said losing his father at an early age made him aware of how quickly life could disappear, which inspired him from then on to get the most out of life and music. And he turned his basement into a practice space for a band he formed with high school friends. And as the band started making money, he dropped out of high school to play rock and roll professionally, and his mother was devastated. And he said, all the shit I put her through, on the top of the fact that she just lost her husband, I felt like I had to make sure it was worth it, and that's why he made it to be in Rush.
Dude, that's wonderful. That goes to show if you do it for money or if you do it for ego, you're gonna fuck it up.
But if you're doing it to make your mom, who survived the Holocaust and her father died young.
Yeah, if you have a bigger, like a grander thing you're doing it for, is how people can convince themselves of a lot of things, and that's a very good story, man.
Yeah, and Geddy Lee said he was quoted to say, I wanted to show her that I was a professional, that I was working hard, and I wasn't just a fucking lunatic. And so he made Rush. Today's Tom Sawyer's How You. Hey, baby. That's a great song. And then we'll end the month of July. One last thing. This Japan Pro Wrestling Alliance was established on July 30th. They had a big ceremony establishing that. And that's all we have time for of this weird and wild episode of American Timelines. Thank you for letting me
play for a bit. Don't think I'll be offended when you say, seriously, dude.
No, I gave you a really stupid thing, which I didn't research at all or even look into. I thought maybe it would be.
No, I mean, don't worry about it. It's not fun. I'm sorry that there was nothing really appears to have been done outside of the splintering of the fundamentalist Mormons. Like they splintered into 2 different groups. One group went to Texas. The other group said, we got to change the Short Creek name, and founded Colorado City, Arizona.
Oh, boom. Colorado. There you go. Something new you just learned. Colorado City, Arizona
was
the new
established
name.
And founded by a bunch of Mormons to kind of take away from the time the government tried to bust them up for, polygamy and white slavery.
I will say this: nobody could have covered that better than you, and make it more interesting. And my theory is that
feel like the best to me ever.
Well, I think my theory is that you could make your voice and you being you could make anything entertaining. So
it's just because I have such a wide range with my tangents.
I think next time I'm going to have you cover the history of soup.
Soup, a tasty soup.
You like
That's
soup.
Fun.
Anyway,
I do enjoy soup.
Thank you, Gruff, for being here. Thanks for being on this episode of American Timelines. Thanks for listening to my dumb birthday stuff and Geddy Lee.
I enjoy your stupid shit as much as you enjoy my stupid shit, sir. Thank you very much.
Get out of here, Chuck Berry. We got Rush in here and Let Dale do and all that.
Thank you.
Matt Truman Ego Trip is the greatest band of all time. Buy their music.